Hey, welcome back to Approaching Green. I am back off vacation. Pam's here with us. We're going to North Carolina, down to
North
Sedgefield.
Carolina.
Yes, there's been a little less of a travel spot compared to some of the guys who went from, Minneapolis to Tokyo or Tokyo back to was it Memphis? That's so bad. I almost feel bad about not. I didn't watch a single stroke of golf. I hit an outright. like I just remember I should just run my outright numbers, put a few plays out just to have something, and then coming back from the airport Sunday, check the old thing. Harris English is up by 4 or 5 strokes, whatever. So I turn that off, worry about what we're gonna have for supper, and then get home and there's a playoff. So pretty beautiful ending for Abraham Answer. You're kind of one of your guys. It was nice to see him
hmm
finally get his maiden. It was a double maiden week with EVR getting the Barracuda Championship. So a couple guys getting their first wins, and yeah, this is what's the tennis analogy we use for this? This is Newport's after Wimbledon now. It's like Eastbourne or one of those where, we have the
The
playoffs
pretty
next
low
week.
key ones.
Yeah, we have the playoffs. It's like the 250 that happens before a slam. Like a
hmm
lot of people aren't here. This isn't a great field. Nobody's super excited to get after the Wyndham. Couple big names, but for the most part, a lower class field. Although we will still have plenty of markets to bet on. We'll get after that, and I will tee off here as Pam tells you about Sedgefield Country Club. Oh yeah,
Well, it is
big
the
dog.
Wyndham Championship. It is in North Carolina. This course is really interesting because literally anybody can win. And last year's winner was a perfect example of that because Jim Herman, he had missed the cut for, he had made just 4 cuts actually to start the year in 2020. And he shot a 63 at this course in the final round to top Billy Horschel by 1 stroke for his third PGA title. His final score was 21 under. So that's going to kind of tell you how simplified this course is. And the course itself, it is a par 70. It is over 7,100 yards. The 18-hole record is 59 from Brant Snedeker, and he shot this in 2018. So we had a 21 last year. We have an 18-hole record of a 59. I mean, literally anybody can take this for that reason. When you start making a course that's pretty simple, it's a wide open field.
Yeah, just somebody gets real hot with the putter. Somebody just hits every green. Somebody chips in a couple times. Somebody hopefully doesn't hit an ace. Little spoiler alert on that. But I mean, this is an easy course. There's some comps that have been made to Detroit. Like it's gonna be. I think it was 5 years in a row now. I just hold out from the fairway. Like I've gone birdie, I've gone birdie eagle to start my round. Like that's maybe not going to happen, but I mean there's going to be a ton of scoring. It
I mean,
is
it
going to end up.
could.
Yeah, I mean there are two very eagle. That was a par four because it was just a lucky hole out. But there are two very easy fives that you'll see eagles over 5% of the time on both. I want to say so. It's going to be an easy course. It's going to be guys who can put themselves in contention. Like you said, Snedeker shot a 59 here. I don't even know if Brant Snedeker's all that good. He just had a really good round. So yeah, Jim Herman, some places 600 to 1 last year. He was not in the FedEx playoffs. He was like 186th. He catapulted
hmm
himself to like 40th or something stupid like that. That ended up playing in the first round of the playoffs there. So yeah, that I did hole out there, Siege. That felt pretty good. So we'll take a look at who we think wins here. And I had a lot of trouble. Pam and I were talking off the air about outrights. It is a tricky week because anybody can win, and you ended up on
Again.
maybe one of the only good names in the field.
There's 2 good names in the field, and I'm choosing one of them, and it is Hideki Matsuyama at plus 1400. I don't even think that this is like worth an outright because, like I said, I mean, you had what was Herman last year? 6,600,
Like 600 to 1.
like 600 to, oh my God,
Yeah.
even okay, worse. So 600 to 1. So to pick one of the favorites is going to be tough, but I mean, Hideki, he does pretty well on Bermuda grass. Of course, he's having himself like a really good couple of weeks. He took fourth and then he took second, and he's coming into this with some really good form. He took on Bermuda grass. He took second at the WGC just last week on par 70 courses in his last 3 starts on par 70 courses. He took 17th at the U.S. Open, 19th at the Sony, and then of course second at last week's WGC. Sedgefield is kind of a hit or miss. He has 2 missed cuts and a third place and an 11th place. So we'll see which version of Hideki shows up. But I think this week he's a team no putt player. He's not very good with his flat stick, but I mean he's one of the best ball strikers on tour and definitely in the top one of the top, if not the top ball striker in this field. So I'll take a shot with him.
Well, and just what he did. I mean, even though he didn't win the tournament, but I mean, there were places that had him 1,000 to 1 live to speak to what he did on Sunday to get back into contention. Like there was
Um,
people there were some people that had some wild numbers on him. They bet 500 to 1, 300 to 1 on him live, and just waiting for him to
amazing.
fire off like a 62. And he did have a hell of a Sunday and ended up in the playoff, pretty wild in its own right. I just hit the flag stick again. Boy, this might be my round. As the last week I was having a little trouble with putting. Oh my god, it glitched on me there like crazy. Anyway, I couldn't do it. I couldn't pick somebody short. I couldn't get through anyone. I hate Webb. I saw you had Matsu. I'm just like I went with Hank Lebioda at 70 to 1. Like this is
Oh, I like that.
I'm going like all outrights that are like 50 or higher. I don't have anybody short
Hmm.
this week. Hank pulled out of the 3M. Not an injury, though.
Hmm.
He did find out his dad was super sick and went home to be with
Right.
family. Dad turned out fine. He recovered. Now he's back. So before that, I mean, even that round ended with an eagle. That's why people
He's
were
doing
like,
really
"Oh my God,
well.
what happened?" That he would, eagle 18 and then leave. And he was playing really well before that. In fact, pretty scorching, honestly, before that. And he's playing just
Hmm.
as well. I expect him to play as well now. He's extremely above average with approach. His putting is great lately, and he's 90th in those FedEx standings. If he can get into that top 70, that's a big enough deal for him if you want to run with some of those narratives. So Lebioda 70 to 1. I did play him some top 20 as well earlier this week. I do this with these longer outrights. I'll play top 20s as well. So if they're a long enough outright, pretty much all my outrights this week are like, well, we'll do a top 20 with him as well. So Hammer and Hank back from his little break, and he is 70 to 1. I'm going with him here. And if we're
That
good,
week that he withdrew, that was actually the week where I made my card. Remember, it was like for him to win. I took him in a head to head, and I was like, my pancake is going to be finished top five. Like and you were like, well, the problem with that is if something happens, there goes your entire card. And sure enough, he ended up withdrawing.
yeah, and he actually, I don't know if he could have been in contention because honestly, the 3M not that different. It's a course where somebody could score pretty easily as well. So I mean, he could have pulled himself into a top five there on Sunday. So unfortunate, but yeah, I'll back him again. I've backed him a lot this year. I like him, and it's funny. We're gonna go from 70 to 1 to talking about the long shots, which they're all long shots this week.
They're
So
all long shots.
your other guy, Mister
I'm gonna
Pereira. I don't know if I said that right. I
Mito
get
Pereira. I'm gonna say the white version. Mito Pereira plus 6,000. He is top five in the field for birdie or better percentage, but it is a very small sample size. He only has like what 5, 6 tournaments to his name here on the PGA Tour. He hasn't played on Bermuda grass. He hasn't played a par 70 course, and he hasn't played at Sedgefield. But he is one of the better ball strikers. He's consistently in the tournaments that he has played, gained strokes off the tee and his approach, and in 3 out of the 5 around the green. And it's his putting that's kind of like the troublesome. But I mean, you give me a player who has a good iron shot, a good off the tee shot, and when he misses with his putting, he's only missing like maybe 1 or 2 strokes, then I'm gonna definitely like him. He did take 39th at the Barracuda Championship last week, but I'm gonna overlook that. I don't know what his stats were, but I mean, still, I'm just gonna ride the wave with him. Flavor of the month.
Yeah, and again, anybody can win. There's like the average odds of the winner here is pretty near triple digits over the last 10 years. There's a couple that have bet one at 300 to 1, so 60 to 1 is kind of a short number here. So even my 70 to 1, I don't hate that at all. I've been having him on a few cards lately. I went with a deeper one that I got a little scared of actually laying, like the plus. I think he was 110, 120 to 1. Bo
Wow.
Hogue. I just played him top 20 here for my long shot. 600 plus 600 just to top 20. There are some people I love this week that are just massive top 20 numbers because they're such long shots in the tournament. So, and he is definitely one of them. He's absolutely on that same team can't putt for shit. That's kind of and I said that to someone earlier, like, I'll play one of those guys that really, really can't putt, but hopefully they have a real big number. Hogue obviously does. He's,
Mhm.
he's in a place where he's good enough with his irons. In fact, he's a goddamn wizard with his irons. Like, if he plays well enough with his irons, and it's one of those where, the best cure for bad putting is having your putts very, very close to the hole. Like, just having super
Right.
close proximity, because this is a course that averages, like, the field in general finds the greens and regulations at a much higher rate than the average course. So it takes
Right.
guys who are doing that well already and further elevates him. So I need some darts from him. But yeah, top 20, 6-1. I'm all right with that. And we did use some bigger names. As much as I was scared of the bigger names, I'll use them in head to heads. There's plenty of head to heads with some of the names. And you, right off the bat, you reuse it. Is you're double dipping again. We need Hideki. Nothing
I need
nothing
a
bad can happen to Hideki
yeah.
now either.
I need to. Well, if we're doing a marquee head to head, there aren't a lot of
No.
marquee players, so your options are already limited right off the bat. But I am gonna fade Webb Simpson. I understand that he has done fantastic at this course. He's finished second and third in the last 4 years. He's finished no worse than fifth place. But Hideki Matsuyama is coming into this with much better form than Webb Simpson, I think. And yes, there are horses for courses, but none of that really scares me. Like, I think Webb Simpson would have to absolutely win this tournament to push Hideki out of the contention. And I'm just asking for Hideki to stay within 1.5 strokes. Is it a tall ask considering how well Webb does at this course? But it's okay. Like, he's coming off a fourth place finish and a second place finish in Hideki Matsuyama. So I'm gonna trust where his form is right now. I'm gonna always trust the guy with the better off the tee and the better iron shot.
And you're echoing a lot of what I'm about to say too, because my matchup is actually against Webb as well. It's like full narrative town. It's like the NFL team on must win week. Like, it's a must win week for this
Yeah,
team. Those teams don't always win. In fact, they lose half the time.
exactly.
Like Webb, yes, he's from around here. Yes, he loves the course. He's been a course horse, but I'm not a guy who will just poo poo course history and say, like, it doesn't matter anything, because he has played really well here. But I will use
Mm,
course history and say he's a course horse if they're also in good form. I don't think he's in good enough
right,
form right now for me to care about that. So I took
exactly.
Usti over Webb at a plus number. Again, any sort of modeling I'm going to do that uses current form or like recent form is going to be obviously pretty high on Louis. Like Louis, even when he
Mhm.
doesn't, he's not winning, but he's finishing high enough every week where it doesn't matter how you manipulate the numbers. His current form is just going to be good enough, so he's going to be high enough in my modeling and my numbers. So Usti over Webb at
Mhm.
plus 110 is something I like quite a bit. And yeah, getting a plus number to fade Webb, I'm fine with that here.
Down the
Which down the
board.
board, yeah. There usually we say, like, sometimes these are tricky. The whole thing is down the board right now. Like, there's so many names all over the place.
You have Louis, Webb Simpson, Hideki, and then down the board.
Yeah, we had Patrick Reed until this afternoon, and now he withdrew.
Exactly. So for this reason, these matchups are kind of really tough because you're kind of guessing which bad player is going to be less bad for this weekend. So I'm going to take a flyer, not really a flyer, but I'm going to go with Adam Scott plus 1.5 strokes against Gary Woodland. I don't mind doing 1.5 strokes instead of taking the outright win. I'm always going to be somebody who looks for that extra cushion. But if you look at somebody who has more consistency in his game, it's going to be Adam Scott. Neither of them can putt worth a shit. But at least Gary Woodland on Bermuda grass greens, he has missed the cut in 3 of his last 4 tournaments. So putting Bermuda grass is actually his worst surface. And at least Adam Scott, he has made the cut in every Bermuda grass event that he has played, with his iron shots still remaining intact and his putting has been off and on. So I'll go with the guy who has been more consistent.
Yeah, I like that. And yeah, Gary hasn't been a guy I've been looking to back for a while either. Like a few years ago maybe, but yuck, yeah. And Adam Scott, I don't know. I should run my numbers on Adam Scott. I didn't look too closely at him this week. That brings us to the turn where I am 8 under, only 8 under at the turn. Pretty good front nine considering I missed a couple putts. There were some decent par threes in this course. They're actually a little trickier than I thought. eventually here at the turn, we'll talk a little bit. I'm sure you've seen it on some of the other shows. We have partnered here at BETSPERTS with PrizePicks. I'm going to try to mix in a PrizePicks DFS play eventually. Even if I'm selling you something, I'm going to try not to bullshit you. And I don't know how to do them with golf yet. Like, I'm just not 100% confident in how to put the PrizePicks golf entries together yet. So I'm going to wait until next week on that, but do check that out. We'll have a promo code for you if you want to get involved with that. And it is cool too if you want to do mixed entries too. They let you do like a golf prop with a football prop or a basketball prop or baseball or whatever the hell's going on at that point in the year. Even have preseason stuff. I'm going to dig into that tomorrow, but eventually at the turn I will be talking about some of that. But as we start the 10th hole, I'll talk my down the board is Patton Kizzire over Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian, and really not a ton to say here. It's just Mackenzie Hughes is kind of a horrible ball striker, as I put one into the fringe there. I feel like that was kind of karma for me calling him that, but his ball striking numbers are horrid. It's not the kind of course where you can be bad at that and expect to keep up. Like, by all likelihood, I don't have him making the cut. I really don't think he makes the cut. And really, Kizzire, I'm not high on him. I'm not a big Patton Kizzire guy. I don't have him winning. Obviously, I haven't used him in any of my top 20s or outrights or anything. I have him as a middle-of-the-pack guy who likely makes the cut here, and I'm laying 20 cents here. So, yeah, when really Hughes loses strokes off the tee, he loses strokes on approach. If you lose strokes on the first two shots, you're not going to keep up with the pace here because it is going to be a low-scoring tournament. So, Kizzire over Hughes for me, and more Gary, huh?
I know, I'm starting to layer on. I need to change it up for next week. But yes, for the miscut, I'm going to go with Gary Woodland at plus 175. And this is kind of just what I said, that he has missed the cut on Bermuda grass in 3 of his last 4 tournaments. But he has the way he plays is kind of like such extremes. He either misses the cut or he finishes in the top 5. And that's kind of what happened to him. He missed the cut in 3 of his last 4 tournaments. And then in his last 2, he took 11th at the 3M. And then he's coming off a 7th place finish at the Barracuda Championship. But on Bermuda grass, that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is that this is his worst surface. And so maybe he can kind of fall back into some of that old habits.
Yeah, these should be pretty quick greens, as you see me trying to putt on the hillside, which is my least favorite thing to do. I'm just not good at break in real life either. I usually just lob that up there and try to leave something I can make. But yeah, these should be fast greens, and people who can't putter in Bermuda are going to be in a world of hurt here. So I also kind of similarly, I took Tommy Fleetwood to miss the cut. It's one of those too where he's just a bigger name in a bad field, and that doesn't just translate to making the cut here. He's another one. It's just like his ball striking hasn't been good enough for me to really think he can compete in a tournament like this. Like, he is, I forget what I wrote down here. Yeah, he's outside of the basic stats, the basic shots or strokes gained stats, like some of the other deeper ones there, like he's decent at bogey avoidance, which really can't be bogeying things here. You need to keep that off your card altogether. But outside of that, like gaining opportunities, birdie opportunities, scoring, finding yourself in, opportunities like that where you can, get yourself shooting up the leaderboard. He's not great in that. And I mean, that's just a byproduct of being a bad ball striker right now. So again, another guy that if you can't sit there and put yourself in position to score and score and score and find yourself at, 7, 8 under to make this cut, you're not going to be around for the weekend. So getting him plus 160 to miss the cut, I'll be cheering against Mr. Fleetwood, which, whatever, I've done that plenty. We did this the other week for the Olympics because they didn't have all the markets, and the damnedest thing was there is nationality props up for the kazoo, and there's no nationality props up anywhere that I could find this afternoon for the Wyndham. So we just said whatever. It worked last time. Just freestyle it, wing it, doesn't matter. Anything you want to bet. And after my heart here with more Louis. I love this guy.
If you were taking him in a head-to-head against Webb, and there's a chance that Webb can finish here in the top 10, then I like my chances of taking Louis Oosthuizen in the top 10 at plus 150 odds. His top 20 odds, they aren't very good, but he is probably the second or third best player in the field, if not the first. So I would definitely like his chances to win this tournament. which means I'm going to like his chances to finish in the top 10. And he does pretty well on Bermuda grass. He took second at the Zurich. He took eighth at the Valspar, 17th last week at the WGC. And then, of course, he's just having like himself one of the best seasons out of any player out there. How many top 20s has he had? How many top 5s has he had? And he's finished runner-up 4 times this year alone. So I like his chances right now.
Yeah, in a field like this, if he
In a
cares,
weaker field.
yeah, if he cares, he'll top 10. I mean, he'll be around. He'll be around this weekend. If I think you can judge this bet probably on Thursday. Like if it looks like he's really trying, like he'll be around for sure. And if it looks like he's mailing it in, you can just forget caring about Louis. And I guess I'll hope that Webb is also mailing it in at that point because I need that. I'll need that head to head. I went a little wilder in the freestyle. Maybe I should have stayed this for Wildcard, the true Wildcard, the true pancake bet. Akshay Bhatia.
Okay, no, I love him.
Yeah, California kid, I think. 200 to 1 to be first round leader.
Nice.
First round leader is something I'm going to look at. I don't do a ton of these. I'll tail some people on a few of these things. But I don't think it's like a market I've been able to take advantage of. I've hit a couple, which is awful fun. It's the best sweat in sports. Getting one in early, I think he's a later tee time, but 200 to 1 for a guy who I think he's getting his feet wet still on tour, but he is kind of figuring it out. He's had some decent results. He did shoot a 64 on Thursday at the AT&T. He can go low. 200 to 1 is just, it feels like a fun little. I'm not putting much on this, obviously. Anytime I do a real deep shot on this like this is going to be a very small bet. But 200 to 1, I thought I was going to get like 125. He wasn't in the field actually until somebody dropped out and he was added later. So once he was added, I said, well, I'm going to have to play him first round leader a little. And like, I'll get, 100, 125 to 1 on that. 200 to 1 feels a lot like something I'm going to have to absolutely be on. So Akshay, hopefully I don't even care if he wins. If he wins, that'd be hilarious because I'd love the kid. But first round leader, 200 to 1, that would be a pretty good way to start things out.
Absolutely.
I think I'm going to leave this putt short. Man, that's the worst feeling in sports. Nope, she went in. All right, hole in one. This was a
what
dumb
you
market
got?
Yeah, this was a. We just, we went with the no at plus 150. I think I'm gonna hunt around. There might be even a bigger number on there. I didn't look too hard. A lot of these places are minus 200 just based on like, I can't remember if it was Sungjae or one of the Koreans. I think almost had 2 the other year. Somebody had one in 15. Somebody else had one last year for sure. Like, there's been some hole-in-ones here, and that gets people to bet on this, I guess. But we're on the no. We're just gonna take the plus number no, and whatever happens, que sera, whatever happens, because there are 2 pretty long threes that are 225, 235. I'm glad I had one just skip by the hole on one of the short par threes. I'm glad it didn't go in. I would have felt silly talking about this later. But yeah, there's 2 par threes that are about 175. Those are probably scoreable, but I don't know. Rough field, 2 long ones. They're in the teens as far as their ranking, as far as how hard they are according to the ranking of the holes. So hopefully we just don't have anybody get super lucky on one of these short ones. And yeah, plus 150. I'll take the plus number. Even though we did lay 200 once, where there was a tournament, I was just sure there was going to be one. I think, and I'm about to tee off on a par 3 here, so maybe I'll try to put one in just for good luck, because that's how you win one of these bets, is putting one in early.
Just hit the stick.
Just hit the stick and hit the birdie. Oh yeah, it took a funny bounce. That's all I needed. I'm superstitious about the game. Like if I make a hole in one in the game, I feel like it's definitely going to happen in the tournament.
It's going to come to fruition.
I'm not even going to make birdie on this hole.
It's a premonition.
There are actually a couple of these greens I've noticed that have some nasty slopes to them. There's some crowns, and there's some nasty runoff areas. So you could get in a little bit of trouble if you're not putting these in the right spot. So hopefully people are getting their practice rounds in and figuring this out. And that'll take us to 17, which means last 2 bets, Pam's pancake. What do we got?
I'm going to take Will Zalatoris plus 140. It's not really a pancake. It's plus 140 for a top 20 finish.
One of your guys, though, for sure.
This is definitely just like a normal size bet, but it's Zalatoris finish in the top 20 at plus 140. He does pretty decent on Bermuda grass. He does pretty decent on par 70 courses. He did play here at Sedgefield in 2018. That was so long ago, and that was before Will Zalatoris was Will Zalatoris. So I'm gonna forgive him for that. And recently, he hasn't been doing too well. He did take 59th, missed the cut, 77th, missed the cut, but he is coming into this with an 8th place finish at the WGC last week, and he has a brand new putter that seems to be working because he gained nearly 4 strokes. So I'm gonna go off that he found something with his short game, and potentially it's just gonna be some FOMO. I'm gonna bet him probably to win as well. But he's definitely the player that I like to finish in the top 20. He's so consistent. He's a great iron player.
Yeah, what sucks is that his to win number is beat up now. And I think part
Right.
of it because he has to win to make the playoffs. So like a bunch
Yeah.
of people like it feels like it might have got short. I'm looking at maybe he either flames out badly or the guy does like top 10 because he is putting better all of a sudden. You mentioned he had a new putter. I saw that the other day. If he can get his game straight and play like it'll be interesting to see how he responds to pressure because and maybe he won't feel any pressure at all because he knows how hard it is to win a golf tournament. It's not like I either win this or I don't. Like he might be feeling no pressure, be like, you know what, I'm young, I'll make the playoffs plenty of times over my career. I'm
Hmm.
just gonna go out there, have fun, try to put a good round together. So, yeah, if his putting is improved because it was pretty ugly for a few weeks. He's definitely one of the honestly, he's one of the better golfers in the field, just based off
Yeah.
like when he was playing at his highest level early
Yeah.
in the spring.
Is it?
He's a top 10 guy in this field right now. All right, 18 leads me. Oh, this is funny because it's on 18. I'm glad I do my second. I didn't even think of that. I found a goofy one called Winner Bogeys the 72nd hole plus 400. So
Okay.
not only could he bogey his way backwards into a playoff, just it is the hardest hole on the course. It's a par four. The average score here is 4.2. It is, yeah, number one out of 18 as far as difficulty. And I mean, God, it was pretty. I was hoping it was a little less straightforward. I should have done a full practice round. But you do see like at the 3M even with whichever cam it was that won that one. You do see that where I don't know, he actually screwed up playing it safe. Where if you got a 2 or 3 shot lead, you play it safe, it's fine. It's a long par four. It's 507. If you have to put yourself on in 3 and 2 putt for a bogey to win by 1 or 2, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to be going for anything on this. I should zoom out actually. Is there water? I don't think there's hardly any water here, which is kind of
Mm-mm.
lame. That was the fun part about the 3M is there was a ton of water, and a lot of people were screwing that up bad. I do enjoy watching people screw up as I screw up this putt. Jeez, Andy, that was pretty easy. So 4-1 bogeys the 72nd hole. I don't have any like super good research on this one. I just saw it was the toughest hole. I always see this market. I skip past it because I think it's dumb. But not often is the final hole the toughest hole, so I will go with it at 4-1. This is kind of a fun one. I do have to go down to Iowa for this one. I think it was DraftKings, so a little bit of travel before I can bet this. And with that, what did I shoot here before we recap? I feel like it was good.
Course record.
Usually, I mean, the Olympic course beat me up. I shot like par. It was rough, but I did shoot a 57. Sorry, Brant Snedeker. Your record is no longer there. Quick recap before we let you go on this Tuesday evening. Our outrights and long shots were Hideki and Lebiota. And then you played Mito Pereira. I'll just do it that way too.
Nope.
I can't roll an R for Save My Life. Bo Hogue, a much easier name. Top 20, 6-1 for me. You took Matsuyama plus a stroke and a half versus Webb. I took Usti over Webb. You took Scott plus a stroke and a half versus Woodland. I took Kazire over Hughes. This is the part of the show that you could screenshot if you really wanted to take a look at that and make your life a lot easier. Missing that we both played missed cuts. Negative Nellies here. Gary Woodland and Tommy Fleetwood to miss the cut at plus 175, plus 160. Freestyle bet in lieu of nationalities. You played Louis Oosthuizen, top 10 plus 150. I played Yakshay Bacha. First round leader, 200-1, big number. Both of us are on the no for the hole in one. Sweat that all weekend because actually I will bet that for sure. And then Will Zalatoris plus 140 in the top 20 for pancake. Small pancake, like a mini one. The mini ones you get at Perkins. And then winner bogeys the 72nd hole. because I try to keep the wild card wild with a 4-1 on that. And that is the Wyndham Championship in beautiful Sedgefield. And starting next week, we'll have playoffs, which is honestly the final round of the playoffs and the Ryder Cup are like my two least favorite tournaments to bet. Because there's no markets for the Ryder, and then the final one, it's like there's 30 guys and it sucks. And I had somebody brought that up today, final closing thought, like the perfect comp for this course is Eastlake, but you just don't have any data because 30 guys play there, so you don't get enough data for everyone. You don't get enough shots, especially for some of the lesser players who just don't ever make it. So that's what kind of sucks about Eastlake. Any closing thoughts, Pam, before we call our night?
My Will Zalatoris, instead of it being a pancake bet, we'll call it a full stack.
A full stack? I like that. I haven't had pancakes. I'm more of a waffle guy. I like something to hold my syrup in a little better, but I don't think I've had breakfast in a while. Oh my God. I was just up by Vermont. They'd put you in jail for that. So, all right, good luck, everyone, on all your bets. If you have some bets that you like, obviously hit us up on Twitter. I'd love to hear them. And thank you to sponsors WinBet, PrizePicks, powered by BETSPERTS. Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, producer Dan, for making the graphics. And we'll catch you next week.
Good luck with your bet.